Alright, guys, thanks for tuning in to another episode of Fork Over the Ring, where we all know the way to a man's heart is through his stomach. And today I'm going to show you guys how to make a really easy spaghetti with meat sauce inside of a cheese bowl. Super cute and super easy. So we're going to start off with sweet Italian sausage links. Then I'm going to go ahead and cook just until they're nice and done. I like to do the sweet ones for this because I like my food to be spicy. So later I'm going to use spicy sausage, but I start off with this. And you'll see exactly what I do with it. So you go ahead and you're going to cook this for about 10 to 15 minutes, just until they are nice and done. I like mine to be a little crispier. And if you have like a griddle or like a George Foreman grill, you can actually use that. After that, in the same pan with the same oil, I'm going to go through and I'm going to add 1 white onion, 1 green bell pepper, and 1 clove of garlic. These are you're going to all put together, and you are going to cook roughly for about 10 minutes until they're translucent. To this, I don't add any seasoning because later on this is going to go into our sauce. The beautiful thing about our sauce is that it is from scratch, so this is your sauce by yourself. I know the word scratch typically scares people, but all that means really is that it's customizable to what you like. And I mean that from this sauce I'm about to make and even to the meats I use. I use beef and pork, but you don't have to use that. If you like turkey, if you like chicken, if you don't want any meat at all, you can always do that. This is easily a vegan option if you want it to be. It can be turkey, it can be whatever you like it to be. Even if you like ground chicken, I ain't for it, but if that's what you like, go for it, sis. But anyway, back to the veggies. You're literally going to cook these just until they're nice and translucent. They're going to cook down a little bit. Put it on medium to high heat. I did have my heat up a little too far because I was watching Basketball Wives, but it's okay. Go ahead and just cook those up. After you cook those in the same skillet, I'm going to go through and start cooking my meat. So for my meat, I start off with half a long pack of 80-20 meat. So that's 20% fat, 80% lean, I guess. And then I add a pack of spicy sausage. So earlier, the links that I had that I'm going to cut up later, those were sweet. This is spicy. And then I simply season that with seasoned oil and cracked black pepper. And that is it. So you're going to go ahead and you're going to cook your meat down. Like I was saying earlier, this part right here is completely optional and customizable to what you like and what you want. So if you do not want it to be beef or pork, you definitely have the right and the ability to go through and change that up. I know people who use turkey only. I know people who don't want to use meat at all. You can use meat substitutes. You can do whatever you want to at this part. The best part about this meal is going to be the sauce and everything we put in the sauce. So that makes everything else optional. And you're going to cook this meat down for about 15 minutes, just until it's all the way cooked down. It's going to turn nice and brown for you. You won't be able to tell the difference between the beef and the sausage. And then you drain all the oil out and put that to the side. We're going to use it in a little bit. Now for the sauce. We start off with olive oil on our skillet. And I take 3 cloves of freshly chopped garlic. I always chop mine myself. And I start to cook it. And then I add 2 cans of tomato paste. You don't have to get one that's like already seasoned or anything, because you're adding all the seasonings and everything yourself. So I start off with my tomato paste and I cook that for about a minute or so, just until the colors start to change. That really blooms the tomato paste and make it act a little differently. And I do add a little water to the can just to get everything out of, because I am cheap and my little 49 cents is gonna last me, boo boo. Then I add 2 cans of chopped tomatoes. You're going to go ahead and add that in, and that's going to give you like the sauce consistency you're looking for. And then we go through and I add a half a carton of beef broth. Again, if you're not using beef, you don't have to use beef. You can use vegetable if you don't want to use meat, chicken, whatever you want. I'm using beef broth because I'm using beef within this meal. After I add my beef broth to that, I go through and I add a few different seasonings that I prefer to add. So I start off with cracked salt, oregano leaves, onion powder, garlic powder, a little bit of garlic salt, some sage. You're also going to see me adding in what is called a spaghetti mix. It's actually, if you go to like your local grocery store, you'll see it in there. I'm also adding some chili peppers, some regular salt, like I said earlier. I add 3 tablespoons, only 3 tablespoons, y'all, I'm going to say it again. 3 tablespoons of brown sugar. So people add sugar to their spaghetti and they don't know why they add it. It's to cut the acid. It is not to make your shit sweet. Don't nobody want no sweet spaghetti. Don't eat. That's nasty. I mean, if you like sweet spaghetti, I guess that's for you or whatever. But I don't like sweet spaghetti. So I put 3 tablespoons of brown sugar in it to cut the acid from the tomatoes. And then I go through and I add some red wine. It has to be a dry, non-sweet red wine. And then I add Crystal's hot sauce. For my red wine, I kind of just pour. It probably comes out to be in about 1/4 of a cup. But it's as much as you want to add. Then after you add all of those ingredients in there, you are then going to go through and you are going to add your veggie mix and your meat. So the first sausage I did, I went ahead and I cut it up and then I add my veggies. And you're going to mix all of that together. And you're literally going to let it sit. Oh, I'm sorry. I also added a container of mushrooms and some Italian parsley. Some roughly chopped Italian parsley and mushrooms. The mushrooms were not sauteed before with the other veggies because I wanted them to cook in this. And I let this cook on low to medium heat and simmer for 2 hours. This is the best spaghetti sauce ever, y'all. And then for your noodles, what you're going to do is you're going to go through, you're going to add olive oil and salt so your noodles don't stick together. And I break mine in half and just dump them in there. And I let them cook for roughly about, they cooked for about 20 minutes because I had them on a lower heat. But you have to just make sure, because one thing you don't want to do is give nobody no nasty ass hard ass noodles or no nasty ass loose ass soggy ass noodles. You want them to be al dente, as they say. And the beautiful thing about this, also customizable, you can use chickpea noodles, you can use spaghetti noodles that come from the squash, you can use whole grain, whatever you want. Next is we're going to go ahead and add our Parmesan cheese balls. So you should be using parchment paper, but like a dummy, I bought wax paper from the grocery store. So I had to use my aluminum foil. So what I do is take about a cup each for each bowl I'm going to make of the cheese. I've greased down the aluminum foil since I didn't have parchment paper. And I'm going to spread this out about 8 inches. They're going to go in the oven for about 10 minutes. You have to kind of watch them until they start to brown on 375 degrees. These are really good. And if you guys actually watched my audition for a Master Chef video, this is actually what impressed them. They said my food was good, but this bowl is actually what impressed them because I served my Alfredo in it. And these bowls are not only good for like pastas, they're good for salads. They're good for anything that you would normally add Parmesan cheese to. You just put it in a bowl and let them eat it off the bowl. So like I said, make them as big as your bowl is. And then I add some freshly ground black pepper on top, just for an extra little kick to the taste of it. It actually does help with the cheese a lot. It makes it taste really good. And you're going to bake this on 375 for about 10 to 15 minutes. And then when they come out. So if you are on parchment paper like you should be, you can use your spatula, pick it up, and just kind of form it over the top of the bowl. But because I'm a dummy and I had aluminum foil and not parchment paper, I had to put these over the bowls with the aluminum foil still with them and form them that way. And then I had to carefully, as you can see, I'm trying to be as delicate as possible, carefully pull the foil off of these cheese bowls. I could have took this part out, but I wanted y'all to see that I fuck up too. Quite often, unfortunately. And don't be afraid to ruin the bottom of the bowl because you're going to fill it up. And you are putting this on a plate. It's not like it's a real bowl to hold the food in. It is a bowl for taste because you're going to actually eat it with the spaghetti. Or I would hope that you guys would eat it with the spaghetti. And it is just to make your food look a little better. So after it forms, because you put it over that bowl, after it forms, you can pull it off and then you're good to go on that one. As you can see, I'm still doing the other one. I just really wanted you guys to see how careful you have to be with this. It's annoying. Learn from my mistakes. Sis, brother, whoever, use the parchment paper. It makes life so much easier. And after your bowls are done, the last thing you have to do is start on your garlic bread. So I take a loaf of Italian bread from my bakery. I just cut it right down the middle And my bakery, and it's like my local grocery store at a giant grocery store, they actually sell garlic bread butter for $1. So I go through and I just kind of spread that on. I like to make it myself instead of buying the ones you just put in the oven, so I can control how much goes on there. I like mine to be super covered, as you can see. So I just simply go through and I cover this bad boy and soak it on up in there. The same way people be soaking up their makeup, I soak up my garlic butter into my bread. And I cook this for about 375 for about 10 minutes. And then for the last 2 minutes, I put it on a broil high so that it can be nice and crispy. So that gives me nice and buttery and crispy toast or garlic bread the way I like mine. Then for serving, what I do is in a separate bowl, same bowl I actually use to form the stuff, I put in my noodles and then I put my sauce on top. And I mix it up in the bowl just so that it can be nicely mixed. And then after we mix it up in this bowl, you'll see, and I use tongs because tongs make things a little easier instead of like a spoon or a fork. You just kind of mix it on up. And after you mix it up, you're going to go ahead and transfer it over to our cheese bowl that should be on a plate or whatever you're going to put it on. And I like to add a little bit of extra sauce right on top, just because that's good, boo-boo. And if you look at our bowl, you can see our black pepper cracked into there. You can actually always add extra stuff to it. I've done it before where I've added parsley to it. I've added basil, rosemary. So whatever you want to make your bowl stick out or taste good, because you can break these pieces off into your stuff. And then, like I said, top it off with a little bit of your sauce. And I top it off with a little parsley after that. And our meal is completely done. This takes 2 hours, like I said, but that's only because the sauce cooks. So it's not like you have to be attentive to this for the entire time. It's one of those things you can cook and walk away. And I served mine with red wine, a sweet red wine, because that's what I like, and my garlic bread, and we are good to go. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. Let me know how you like this video. Have any questions, leave them below. And remember, a way to a man's heart is through his stomach. Make sure that you like, subscribe, and comment. Also share this with your family and friends. See you guys later.